Hi everyone, it's Kim. Thanks for joining me. Let's start the day off by taking a walk to the country and visiting with some of our favorite farm animals that can be found in Spellbinders' new farm animal collection. And there's 5 different animals we're going to take a look at. They're all very whimsical, but there's also a degree of realism in them, which I really like because that will make them more versatile for more of our projects. So let's start with the cow. We're going to start with the whimsical side of the cow. And this little beauty is from the Hey There collection from Spellbinders. And one nice thing about the dies we're going to look at today, they also include a set of stamps. And they're all kind of tongue-in-cheek sayings that pertain to whatever animal is in the set. So we'll start with this one. And "How's it going" is what this little cow is saying. I've used most of the pieces in this die set. So another thing to look at is all the accessory pieces that are included. And I always like to really take a good close look at those because I know down the road I can pull some of these things out and use them even if I'm not using the cow. So take a look at what else is included with the cow. Good sized cow. On this one, I just used a background, one of the scenery backgrounds from a paper pad. Made it very simple to give it the country theme that I was looking for, but you could see how gentle and kind of fun the cow is with its hat on. How's It Going is from the stamp set, and then this speech bubble is from Spellbinder's speech bubble set as well. And I do like to have these speech bubbles. You just never know when you can pull one out and use it. There's 2 pieces for every speech bubble. So you can just cut out and use like the white die cut here, or you can back it with the larger die cut. And then we have those little stitch lines around there. So a couple different ways to use those. And I thought, perfect to use with this cow. So let's look at another cow and another sentiment. And "Over the Moon for You." I think we've seen cows jumping over the moon before. Again, I use the speech bubble, basically the same cow. And then the moon is from one of Tim Holtz's dies, and I just used the smaller of the 2 moons. Had it ready to go, perfect. I wasn't sure how I was going to make the cow jump over the moon because usually we see the legs going out from the front and back, but I just set him across the moon and I think that looks okay. The stars are from a set we're going to look at next. So I just pulled those from another set out of this collection. But again, very easy to make that cow. Obviously, we can make it in other colors than black and white. But that will get us started with our first farm animal. And the next one up are the sheep. And this is from the Counting Sheep die set. Again, other pieces included in addition to the sheep with a stamp set. And this time I picked out "I Count the Ways I Love You." Some of these I wasn't sure exactly how to use them, and I didn't use the little stocking cap, but I thought, well, when you can't sleep, you count sheep. So that again was sort of my inspiration to use the moon. And let me just show you here, cut this moon in half. I already had the other half. I thought, why not use it? So I've made the 3 sheep, and then you can see the stars are from this set, and these are the stars that I used in the Over the Moon one we just looked at with the cow. So really very simple once you put the animals together, whether you are inspired by one of the sentiments or have a different idea in mind, you can use them more realistically or whimsically. Without the hat, I think this is definitely a more realistic looking sheep. And this one also, these 2 are definitely more realistic looking. And I pulled out a couple of other dies too. So I know I have other farm style dies, and I really wanted to incorporate those with the animals. I don't have to just use the animals by themselves. I knew I had a barn, and I have several, but the one I had at close by was the barn pop stand from Karen Burniston. I did not make it a pop-up card. I just used the barn, laid it flat on the card base. Could add my sheep, and here again, you can change up your sheep. So these guys are more just white, and this is kind of white with gray and the black sheep. So change them up however you want. Another die included in this collection is the landscape edges. Now I know there's a lot of edge dies out there, but this one was created for this collection. So if you don't have a landscape die, this might be one you want to consider. If you already have one, then that would probably work just as well too. I did use some of the other pieces in this scene for the sheep. So I used the little grass and the fence here, and there is a flower. I didn't use that, but I could add that. Here's the landscape. So I've used 2 of the landscape dies for the grass and the hill. So again, I just started making all my animals, and then I just kind of built my scene around them. And then the next one we have are the chickens. So the spring chicken here, you can see the little chicks in them and the hen. So the first one is more of the whimsical because she's got her bonnet and apron on. And I wasn't sure what sentiment to use. I put "You are impeccable." I have a feeling Mama Hen here is pretty busy with all those chicks, and she's got a few more eggs there ready to hatch. The other one that I thought is "You are still a spring chicken." Now, I'm not sure how much of a spring chicken she might feel at the moment, but again, there are several other ones if you want to use the stamps that are included in this set. Now, I liked the chicken. I love the chicken die, but it's more of a cream color, and I wanted my chickens to have some color to them, but I didn't really want to have to figure out how to color them. So what I've used in a lot of these die sets for both the animals and the background are my ink drop pads. So I just pulled out a couple, but this way, if I wanted to make a chicken, and I'm just going to pull this one out. This may not be realistic for chickens, but if I wanted, I could just kind of pick what area that maybe I wanted to die cut. So this one's kind of more of a purple chick. And let me show you this one. This is more of kind of pink, kind of yellow and pink chicks. So I found those ink drop pads to be great, both for the backgrounds like in this one, plus for my animals. And I cut a lot of animals out of the ink drop pads. The other thing I wanted to do was go back and find some dies that I know I had in my stash, country style dies. Again, trying to get the use out of more of my products. So I knew I had this little gal. This is from Paper Rose. This has been out for quite a while. The girl with metal bucket. But I thought this is ideal. Like she's feeding the chicks. She can also gather some eggs. And I just cut her out as a silhouette so she doesn't take away from all the chickens. And I think these are really realistic looking chickens. So again, you can use them in multiple ways, not just in the whimsical way, but in multiple ways. And then, of course, another farm favorite would be our little pig, again, with his little handkerchief and his hat with his little propeller on it. This is definitely more a whimsical pig. And the name of this set is Ham It Up. And you can read the sentiments there. One of them that I had not seen before is "You are kind of a pig deal." I like that sentiment. So that was my inspiration for this guy. Probably couldn't send this to everybody, but I do like that sentiment. On this one, I did use, again, the landscape edges. So I used all 3 of them in this scene. And what's nice is there is just one cutting edge. So you can, again, make the depth of the grass or the hill or the clouds as narrow or as wide as you want, just depending on what you need for your card. So he's a cute little guy. Again, he has the mud. So I try to look at these and think, what else is in this die set besides the pig? That little patch of mud. That's something I will try to keep in mind because there might be other times that I have a totally different die set And if I had some mud or I could make that water, I'm able to use that. And then on a more serious side of the pig, again, I have one of those silhouette dies with my more realistic pig. I realize he's maybe a little pink, but I've got the paper rose die with the two cowboys on it, farmer and boy. And you can see there is a pig on this. So when I die cut this out, I just trim down the top of the pig and put my Spellbinders pig on top. So you really can't tell that there's a pig underneath him. But again, I like the idea of this. The background is, again, an ink drops pad. Just so easy to make a colorful background with no work. And then let's move on to another animal, the geese. And I'm going to start off with a realistic look at the geese. This is called Honk Honk. And again, you can read the sentiments there on the stamps. So we can do with or without the little hats. Again, there's some little water puddles. So that's something I'm always thinking I could pull this out and use it maybe for something else, not just with the geese. Again, the geese are white, but I wanted my geese to be a little maybe more colorful and in some ways a little more realistic than white geese. So I got out another one of those ink drop pads and pulled out the paper that was kind of a brown with a gray coloring in it. So I think my geese look fairly realistic. If I want one swimming instead of walking, I just don't have to add the feet. And there I go. So this one is Make a Splash on Your Birthday. Again, I used 2 of the landscape edge dies. And then these clouds are really from the Counting Sheep, and they use them as grass here, but I thought, those work for clouds as well. So again, I always try to think, what else could I use that for? What else does it look like? And then to go to the more whimsical side of the geese, we've got them dressed up with their hat and their little scarf. This time I used I'll be your up when you're feeling down. Now, that is not a sentiment or quote that I'm familiar with, but I figured that would work with these two. It's a rainy day, so they've got their little puddles. The embossing folder is one I already had done, and this is from Vicky Papioni's collection. And I can't remember the name of it, the collection, but it had like everything to do with rain and umbrella and whatnot. And the embossing folder is actually called Raindrops. And I had it on some specialty cardstock from one of my Sizzix packs. You can kind of see how it shimmers in the light there. So that was just perfect, already done to add my geese to. Again, if I didn't have their hats on, these are fairly realistic covered geese. And then the one sentiment that I like, the stamp honk, I could just hear a bunch of geese honk, honk, honking. And I thought, what fun thing could I do with that? So I figured if we had a gaggle of geese, maybe they were honking at a young little geese crossing their path. Again, I have no idea what purpose this card would be for, but it was fun to make all these realistic geese and then a white goose who's capturing their attention. And then to use the speech bubble again, since we have so many honking geese, I just added a few little, I don't know what you would call these, points for all of them talking at once. Again, no purpose except just to have fun in creating something. And again, my background is from one of the ink drop pads, and these guys, their bodies are all made from the ink drop pads, and then the beaks and their feet again are from a different, an orange and yellow ink drops pad. So that made it pretty easy to create some colors with them. So the dies that we looked at all come in a bundle. You can buy them individually or you can buy them as a bundle. So if you do like all of them, that saves a little bit of money. So we've got the 5 animals and the landscape. So these guys all can be purchased as a bundle or individually. The Speech Bubbles is a totally separate die. It's not part of this collection, but it still works with this collection. Now there's some letterpress plates that are also part, and I have one that I want to show you. I love the chickens. Some of the letterpress plates are backgrounds, like farm scene backgrounds, but this is the one that I used to create this chicken. It's called Feathered Friends. You can see that this is the larger chicken that I have here, a chicken, then a smaller one, or this is probably what the rooster, I'm going to guess, and the chicken, and then 3 sentiments. And again, I thought I don't want to, press this out on, say, watercolor paper, and then I'm stuck having to color it. I need something simpler. So I pulled out again one of my ink drop pads, and even though the paper is thinner, this still printed on this very, very nicely. Same thing with the sentiment, and then I can just use the die, the coordinating die, to cut it out. So that made it very simple, and this way the chicken or the rooster, it's already colored, and I'm not trying to figure out how to color it and where to put this color, where to put that color. And if I want to have, say, like a blue and green chicken for some reason, I can easily do that with one of those ink drop pads. So if you are into letterpress, check out some of the better press dies that are part of this collection. So it was fun to make the little farm animals. I think these will be good for a number of occasions. I do like the variety and the opportunity to pull out some of my old dies that I can use in conjunction. But we've got quite a group of animals that we can use in our projects for the year. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you again in a future video.